Right, so hello everyone. Welcome to today's time lapse of an Etneratus VMAX fan art for TCG. This is actually a commission piece for the Slowpoke Well. You should definitely go check him out. My older brother, he does really good Pokemon content. He's just a really fun guy overall. So check him out if you can. But this is a t-shirt design for some of his merch. He wanted to have it specifically TCG related. And that's why we got, you'll see later on in the design, we've got a Persephone, we've got a Dragapult, and we've got a Scorch as well, being like the main three decks that you can play in this new format. If you would like to see the sketching process for this piece, you should go check out the archive of the last stream that I did from the time I'm uploading this. From there you can see it when it's a rough sketch, and then you see me do the line art and stuff. I don't exactly remember, this was a week ago. But yeah, I'll have an info card up at this point so you can go check that out if you want to go watch that. But that isn't sped up, that is in real time. So if you want to speed up, just like, I don't know, double speed it. But yeah. Right, so while I've been doing that little introduction, I just finished doing the silhouette for the main focus of this piece, the hand and the cable arm thing. So now currently I'm just going in and starting to block color the hand, picking the color from the image of reference I have. You can sometimes see at the top right. But this part was pretty frustrating, and this problem comes up again later on when I'm trying to do Persephone's face. It's basically a repeating pattern, but I'm not able to get the shape right. So you can see that I'm just constantly trying to tweak it, trying to get the shape right, and I'm not able to do it. But after a while and just like cleaning up some lines, I'm able to get it, finally. But the Persephone face is a lot more painful to watch, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, now that I've finished doing the block colouring of the hand and arm, I'm now starting to do the sky, and this by far is my favourite part of the entire piece, because if you know me, then you know that skies are like my weak point. I absolutely love doing them. You can do like so many things with them, like so different colours and different moods and stuff. And this guy especially is sets the mood so nicely for the piece, and it's just So basically what I did first is that I block colored the background, and now I'm going in adding like a second layer of clouds, like having blue and then purple underneath it to add like a shadow. So yeah, now that I'm going in adding more shadows and just constantly making things darker and darker and darker until it looks right to me. And then once I've done that, then I'm just gonna like add in like more highlights and stuff, which I do later on. But yeah, that's the sky process. I really love how it turned out. I actually posted it on my Insta, like 2 separate final pieces, one with all the Pokemon stuff in it and then one without, so it's just pretty much the sky. And yeah, that just shows how much that I just have a soft spot for these things. So yeah. So this is a technique that I often use. It's if I want to make something like a bit more brighter or darker, I just use gradients that go to transparent, so black transparent and then white transparent, just to help it like stand out, or like the highlights to stand out more, the shadows to pop a bit more too. I've used it for quite a few pieces, and it works pretty well. But yeah, that's what I did there. So now that I'm working on the Dynamax cloud, which is above and where the cable like fades into nothing. And here mostly I'm just messing around with the color values and the hue and the brightness and the saturation and stuff, just trying to figure out what looks right. I can't really describe what I was doing really, because it was just literally experimentation, just to try to find what was right. But I did decide, like in the center part with the cables fade, that should be a bit brighter. But that's pretty much all I can conclude from that Dynamax cloud there. So once I finished doing the cloud, I just thought it would be appropriate just to start working on the cable that fades into the cloud. So here I'm just like trying to pick a texture, one of the set custom noises that you can have in the software Medibang, which is what I'm using. I often use custom noises a lot just to help things look less plain. But once I set the custom noise and I edited it a bit, I added the glow, and now adding like just smaller details such as like the separation of the cables, and I spent quite a bit of time on the cables, to be honest, more time than I should have, but it just took like quite a while to make it look right, and I wasn't really happy with anything I was doing, so I often like got rid of stuff and then tried it again with some, make it look a little bit different. Okay, so I want to kind of show this in this video, the concept sketch that I was given and basically had to work on. So my brother, he wants to do these t-shirt designs, and obviously I'm gonna be like 100% willing to help him, but to help me like figure out what he was thinking and how he pictured this t-shirt to look, he gave me a small sketch on a post-it note, and I'll throw it on screen now. And I just absolutely love how it looks. Like, you can tell like what things are meant to be, but I love how the Eternus hand at the center looks like a spider. But yeah, I just wanted to show this, and Shay, if you're watching this, you definitely have potential in art, just keep practicing. Okay, now that we're finally done with the cable, I told you it was a long time. But now we're starting moving on to the main hand and texturing that hand. So I'm going around, looking all through the custom noises, picking out which one suits best. I think I went with the marker paper one. But once I've done that, then I'm just going in, like adding changes to like the glow and like starting to shade like the fingers of the hand. This part was pretty fun to do, like just going around outlining everything. I don't know why I enjoyed it so much, to be honest. It's pretty simple, but yeah, I just guess seeing the piece like slowly come to life and the main attraction of the art is like starting to take form. I guess that was the most exciting part. I would say it's because it's using my favorite color, purple, here, but it would be really sad if that was the case, wasn't it? So now that I'm just going in, adding the shading to the fingers, but I've realized now that I got my light source completely wrong, or I can just pretend that I meant to do this. If the light source is the brightest, which is the palm of the hand where the center of the star is, then the shadows are on the wrong side of the fingers. But I think my brain was like thinking that the light source was the top of the cloud, and that's where the line's going up there. But it doesn't look that out of place. It looks okay. It's passable. So yeah. We just pretend that we don't notice that, okay? So now that I'm going in, starting to do the landscape and the mountains, and the most recent piece that I've done and posted is the winter one, a winter lake, and that main attraction of that one was, well, the lake, but also the mountains that were going around the lake too. So I recently have studied how to do mountains, so it was fun to like go back and do the mountains again in this piece. So I'm just going in, like adding, slowly getting darker with my colors, changing the color values a bit, because I realized everything was a bit too bright, so I want to darken it a bit. But yeah, once I started finishing the back layer, then I start working on the medium, like the medium layer, the middle layer. And then once I've done that, I start working on the ground too. And if you look at the top there, you see that the whole of the top of the cloud, where the cable is meant to be, I promise you that is meant to be there. I just did the layers really weirdly, so I had to erase part of the cloud that was covering the cable. So here I'm starting to use a custom brush that I've made, and I'm really proud of it. It's the first custom brush I ever made. But it's basically a bunch of grass, and I decided to add it in and blur it out just to give the ground a little bit more texture. But yeah, I use that brush quite a lot now. Once I figured out how you can make your own custom brushes, it's honestly the best thing ever. Definitely recommend, like, if you use art software yourself, and you don't know how to add your own brushes, like, go learn how to add your own brushes, because then you have complete control and you don't have to worry about like the software limiting you, because you can literally put what you want. But yeah, that's just a little friendly tip that I gave. So here now I'm starting to add in the trees. The trees design are from, well, most cliche tree shape from the Pokemon games, but the one I use specifically for reference is the Sword and Shield trees, like the berry trees that you shake and then the berry comes down. So yeah, I use those. And also another thing that I realized that I did wrong in this piece is that the trees are bending the wrong way. They should be bending towards the hand because the hand's sucking things in. You can see at by the end of it, or you look at the line art, the Sense Scorch is being sucked into the hand. So the tree should also be being sucked in, not being pushed away. Maybe the trees got bent out of shape when the hand first came down, and that's why. But again, we can just gloss over that. It doesn't look that out of place. Once I realized that the trees were facing the wrong way, it was like way too late to be able to go back and change it all. I did want to finish this piece to a known set deadline, so I just didn't have enough time, unfortunately. But it's good that I do notice these things, because then it makes me more aware if I'm gonna do a similar mistake again. I actually made quite a few mistakes with this piece. I am so sorry. But yeah, it looks okay, I guess. I'm not completely happy with how the trees ended up being rendered. But there's not much I could have done, really. I treated it the same how I always would treat trees. I added a little bit of like falling leaves just to make it a bit more spicy. But then once I finished the trees, I needed to add the shadows to the ground that the trees were casting. And this is when I made the light source the hand, and you can see why the contradictory of the light source being the hand and the fingers shadows are all completely wrong. But it's fine. We don't have to worry about that. So once I finished doing the trees and the ground, I started adding the Pokemon. So first up, I wanted to do Bucephalon because he's just a funny looking geezer, isn't he? I absolutely love doing like the expressions of some of the Pokemon. Bucephalon was easily my favorite because he's such like literally is a clown. The design was pretty hard to sketch out and get right because I didn't use a reference of Bucephalon moving, so I just kind of like winged it. But I think it turned out alright with like the pose and stuff. When I was doing the rough sketch, I did test out a couple poses, and I did conclude this one was alright. But I absolutely really do like the design of Bucephalon, like the stripes going down the body. I just think it's a nice little touch. But now we start getting onto the face. And if you thought doing the star on the palm of the hand was bad, wait till you see me doing the star on Bucephalon's face. I am so thankful I only had to do it once and not twice. But here we go. So I first started just rough doing it by hand, and I realized it wasn't working. Then I tried doing lines and copy and pasting it like I did with the palm of the hand, and it wasn't working. So I tried warping it around the hand using guidelines. That wasn't working either. And I was just erasing lines and adding them back. Wasn't working. So, but then when I was like, okay, that's enough, I'd start literally going maths mode and like measuring stuff out and like getting the angles perfect, spot on and all that. So you can see there, that's the star that I end up using, and just getting rid of the previous work I did. It doesn't look that long in this time lapse, but it took so long. I think it went up to like half an hour, maybe even an hour of just working on this stupid face. But yeah, once I did that, it was just straightforward, really. Once I got the star shape and I was just warping it around the face. I'm so thankful that I literally got a brain at this point and then drew out the star first and then warped it around rather than trying to draw it on the face. But yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about my Pokemon Sword playthrough for a little bit. The start Pokemon I picked was Sobble, evolving into Inteleon. He's my favorite starter, but Grookey evolving into Rillaboom is probably my second favorite. I really don't like Scorbunny, well, evolving into Cinderace. I just really don't like it. But yeah, I picked Sobble for any other Sobble fans out there. So once I finished doing the main shading for Persephone, then I started resizing him, putting him around the area just to see what was like the best looking place for him to be. Then I realized that I didn't draw his right hand, so I had to go add that. But yeah, the shading part, once you got like the main colors down, wasn't that bad. I just went to go multiply a purple layer, like a purple color over it, and that basically like corrected everything for me. But then once I finished doing Persephone, then it was time for Center Scorch, and this was pretty fun to do as well. I first added like the red, but I realized I did it on the wrong side of the body, and then I had to go change that. Change that to brown, and then add the red where it's meant to be. But Center Scorch is pretty fun to do because like it's literally the words in the name. It's a centipede, and it's Center Scorch. So it was kind of fun, like making the body look like it's trying to scurry away from the Eternus. I kind of also liked like the little legs and how I tried to make it so they were shaping towards where they would have been grabbing. So the front legs are grabbing forward, like as if they're being ripped away. And then the back legs are like just dangling there. I don't know if I described that right. But once I finished doing the legs, I started adding the eyes and just like the small like details, so like the exclamation mark on his head, and then like the breakups in his body, and also the flames on the tail and the front of the face. But yeah, once I finished with Center Scorch, I then started resizing him like I did with the Persephone. And then changing the colors. I really like how I shaded this afterwards once I put the purple multiply layer on. I think it just turns out really, really cool. But yeah, that is pretty much all I got to say for Center Scorch. Okay, and if I'm going to talk about my Pokemon Sword playthrough, I got to talk about the lineup that I had. So obviously I had the Inteleon, but I also had a Toxapex to set up Toxic Spikes at the start of the game. I also had a Coastal because I just really like the design of it, and I also had a Shiftry. It was my least favourite out of my team, but I kind of wanted to have a grass Pokemon as well. I had a Gerda, I would have evolved it, but I didn't have anyone to trade with, and then I had a Noctowl. I just really like that Pokemon. I know it's not the best team, it's actually arguably pretty bad, but I play Pokemon to have fun, not to be like competitively good. But yeah, that was the team I had. And then once I finished Center Scorch, it was time for... What's your name again? Oh no. I forgot your name. Dragapult. There we go, Dragapult. It was Dragapult's time now to shine. And I absolutely love Dragapult. Just having like the little cannons on top of his head which shoots out the baby Dragapults. You can tell that I remember names of Pokemon. But yeah, the Dragapult was pretty fun to draw, especially with like its ghosty looking tail, and then once I started shading that, it was like looking pretty cool. But I also like doing the Dragapult because I didn't have to do that much work on it. Like, I didn't have to draw the chest, for example, because we were looking at the back of him. But yeah, I think that's it for Dragapult. I decided once I finished the first Dragapult that I wouldn't add multiple ones. When the original sketch it was just one Dragapult, but I think having multiple ones like looked a bit better. Another thing I should also point out, I'm talking about adding more Pokemon in. I did originally want to add like different other Pokemon, like a Pikachu and an Eevee, for example, referencing Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, like running away as well. But I decided that it might have been a bit too cluttered if I did add more Pokemon in. I maybe have some like Pidgeots flying off in the background as well, but again I feel it's just a bit too cluttered. I might do a redraw of this with the more Pokemon in once I'm like a little bit more confident with like with the concept of this. But for now, I think this looks completely okay. My brother, the Slowpoke Well, he's happy with how it turned out too. And as long as the person who's commissioned me is happy with it, then I'm happy too. So once I finished doing the Pokemon and the Dragapult and just adding little touches here and there, I started adding the debris and the rocks flying away. And they're meant to be like the craters in the ground. So once I'd done the shapes of the debris and the rocks, That was pretty simple, to be honest. This is like basic shading, just kind of make it up as you go along. But then I started doing the lining, and the lining was pretty fun to draw. Just adding like little lines here and there, changing the brightness. Because once I did the tone check, is that what it's called? When you check how dark or light something is, when you make everything monochrome, I realized that some things needed to be darker and some things need to be brighter. And that's when I like went in and like redid some of the values, like make the lightning darker and the ground darker too. But yeah. And that's pretty much it for this piece. Hopefully you didn't get sick of my voice. I hope not. I'm sorry, this is the first time I've done something like this. But thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed like watching the time lapse for this piece. And I hope to see you all next time. Bye for now.